Welcome to the Danny Clinkscale Reasonably Irreverent podcast. Insightful and witty commentary, probing interviews, and detours from the beaten path.
Welcome to Danny and Stan's football weekend. Well, it was snowing in Kansas City yesterday, but the Kansas City Chiefs played as if it were sunny in, dare say Miami? That's what people are thinking after the Chiefs have found form once again as they get themselves set for the last 2 weeks of the season and potentially trying to still nab that seed, although the Patriots have 2 home games to go, so it doesn't seem likely. Chiefs probably will be playing in the divisional round, but that probably doesn't seem to be bothering them too much the way that they are humming right now. Of course, it was snowy out there, so maybe hard to judge the football, but it was snowy for both teams, and the Chiefs looked like they were unbothered by that. They were unbothered also by the fact that for some reason the grounds crew didn't cover the field early in the overnight, and so they had to play catch-up, which they really never did catch up, but the field conditions did not bother the Chiefs. So we'll talk some Chiefs and NFL football with Stan Weber, also touch on some college issues as well. And it's always fun to get the analysis of one Stan Weber talking football as we do each and every Monday right here on Danny Clinkscale's Reasonably Irreverent Commentary. And it comes your way next.
We're here with Joe Spiker, the president of Easton Roofing. And Joe, you worked for other companies in the construction industry. What inspired you to start your own company in Easton Roofing?
Well, you know, Danny, when you are working for somebody else, you oftentimes don't get to see the project through from beginning to end, and you don't get the final control over the customer experience. And I wanted to build a place where people can come and get work done on their house and not have to worry about being treated the wrong way and get a good customer service experience start to finish.
The company slogan is "Where Integrity Matters." Why is that so particularly important to you?
Well, for us, what that means is treating each other with respect at work, treating our clients with respect, and making the right choice, especially when no one's looking. So when you're presented all the time as a contractor with choices that have to be made, are you going to make more money on this if you cut a corner? And we just wanted to make a place and a slogan that said to our people and to whoever is our customer, we're not going to do that. We're going to make the right choice regardless of profit.
Easton Roofing, where integrity matters.
For many people, a family law case will be one of the most difficult experiences in their life. The law firm of Kenneth McRae will help you through it. Personal and effective help from Ken in concert with you will develop a unique strategy for your unique case. As Ken always says, divorce can be civil law, not civil war. Licensed in Kansas? Visit McRaeLawOffice.com or call 913-972-4765.
I was duped, and I recommend you be next. For better or worse, the ultra-realistic impression of me sits now in my wife's office to spook her on a daily basis. So what is Doob? D-O-O-B. It's the keepsake of a lifetime, a 3D-generated, incredibly lifelike figurine. 66 cameras take an image at exactly the same moment in any pose, and state-of-the-art 3D technology transforms that into exact replicas of you, anyone you know or love, a pet, whomever is close to your heart. Create lifetime memories with a Doob. Visit their Facebook page at Doob 3D Kansas City, or better yet, see their incredible creations. Visit their location down on the plaza in the heart of it at 231 West 47th Street in KC Mo. Doob, be next.
If you'd like to join these and other great sponsors and market your business to a growing and engaged audience, contact us at danny@dannyclinkscale.com. Look forward to hearing from you.
Stan, I'm going to start off with this. I did put this out on Twitter yesterday, and not all the people fired back at me that I was an old sourpuss or a curmudgeon. I'm in the ballpark of I don't like watching football in bad conditions. I don't. I prefer a game in good conditions. It's like when I turn on a golf tournament and it's raining or it's cloudy. I'm like, hey, I'm watching a golf tournament. I want to see guys walking around in the sunshine. In football, I don't really care about the sunshine or not the sunshine, but I don't like playing games in completely compromised conditions. Now, the Chiefs would make that look foolish because they played great. What's your thought? When you turn on a game, it's snowing, whatever, raining, there's water on the field, what are you thinking?
I love football, and Can't wait to see the game. I love all the conditions. No, I'll say this, just to play along with you. The Chiefs have been a part of the AFC West since their beginning in 1960. And there is always just a warm feeling when they come on at the 3 o'clock window, 3:25, 3:05 nowadays, and they're on the West Coast getting ready to play the Chargers in the old days in San Diego or the Raiders in Oakland. That's over now. But, everything looked brighter. The sun was out, and it could be snowing back in Kansas City. And it did feel a little bit better to me. Obviously, I don't mind that the Super Bowls are played in good weather and that the players can play to their highest level, make their best cuts and everything else. But I'm not totally down on the weather being a factor. And as a Chiefs fan, I think that we ought to root for snowstorms every single playoff game because maybe of all the list of things, and boy, the list is getting long about Patrick Mahomes and what he can do that does not seem reasonable and is extraordinary, we may be adding a new one to the top of the list. He's played 2 games in the snow. The Colts game was played in the snow in the playoffs last year, and then the game against Denver. One of them was a playoff game, one's against a team that they should beat. But in both games, he looked like it was sunny and 75. He just did everything he wanted. He never looked uncomfortable in the pocket, slipping around. The ball didn't seem to slip off his hands. He delivered the ball. One of the things that happens in bad weather, we've known it forever, the pass rush usually slows down a little bit. So it's an advantage to the passing team. But let's be real. You see other quarterbacks act like normal human beings. How about Andrew Luck? This is the best example. Andrew Luck went to Texas, and they beat the Texans easily with the Colts in the playoff game before the Chiefs game. They looked so good. And then next week, the Chiefs defense looked like they could go park themselves on the heated benches, and the Colts couldn't fight through the snow. It just was a weather type of situation. And yet Patrick Mahomes is firing the ball over the field, acting like no big deal, and he did that against Denver on Sunday. It's amazing to me. He said, what do you think about playing in snow? He says, I've done it twice, and the first time I went out against the Colts, I didn't know what was going to happen, but in warm-ups, it felt like, makes the ball a little more sticky. I could spin it. Wow, who says that?
Right.
And he makes it happen. So, hey, the Chiefs are hitting their stride. They're playing better football. They're playing complementary football. Spagnuolo's found his rhythm. He's aggressive with guys at the line of scrimmage. Tyrann Mathieu has become the ball hawk that you thought he was coming out of college and the best of his NFL career. One time he's at the line of scrimmage blitzing off the edge. The next time he's lurking around as a robber in the middle of the field knocking down footballs. Thornhill's playing great, helping him out at safety. The corners have been underrated all year. They're really locking down, not leaving guys open. And the Chiefs are playing very good football right now across the board. But how he plays that well, Patrick Mahomes in snowy conditions, is crazy to me. But I love seeing the warm-ups and the pictures. There's a great picture of Andy Reid that the television took, and I think they've kind of made it a still photo on TV where the snowflakes are just so big and around Andy Reid as he's staring. His face is the whole picture. Now, that's cool. And right. I'm sure there's some great photographs. But overall, I think, Danny, to get to your point, by the end of the first quarter, I'm ready for the guy, get rid of the snow, give me the green field, and let's play. So it even wears on me, but I only say that, football's almost done for me, Danny. I cannot believe we only have 2 more months left.
I will say this. I don't really mind the occasional, and this is the way I put it in a response to somebody on Twitter, I don't mind the occasional game for sort of a carnival atmosphere out there in the snow and, if somebody scores a touchdown and makes snow angels or whatever. But that's usually a game I don't care about. If it's a super important game, I want the conditions to at least be reasonable. Now, one of the greatest games of all time is the Ice Bowl. But the game was kind of a farce. I mean, people could hardly run. That was an extreme example. We don't get that anymore because fields are better tended to. But for instance, how many times have we heard Dan Fouts on Chiefs games this year? A lot. Well, in the biggest game he ever played, the AFC Championship game in Cincinnati, it was even colder than the Ice Bowl. I mean, it was an impossible situation to play.
At Cincinnati.
Yeah,
on
at
the
Cincinnati.
hard turf.
And, on hard turf, and it was like 25 below, and the wind was blowing, and they're a throwing team. And, I mean, the weather basically decided the game.
You mean it was cold in 1981 also, Danny?
Yes. So
I think that was a 1981 playoff game.
Yeah, so in the most important games, and maybe that's part of why the NFL for a long time opted for just warm weather sites. Now they're changing that a little bit, and it's worked. We have less severe winters generally. We have more changes in the weather or odd weather, but so for the biggest games, I want good conditions. So I'll just say that we'll get past that and move on. The Chiefs now have played outstanding defense for about a month. Now, they haven't played during the stretch of time, they haven't played against a good offense. But I think we can see enough, no matter who's on the other side. And just prior to that, they did play the Vikings when they were rolling pretty good, and they shut them down. So I think maybe what they're doing on defense is a bit exaggerated because they're allowing, 9 points a game in the last 4 games. But still, I think from a confidence standpoint, from a scheme standpoint, even now, even if they play a good defense, I would expect at least a reasonable defensive performance.
I think so. I think they're tackling much better. They're putting more guys up to the line of scrimmage, and they're just gaining confidence. When you see the same colored jersey as you have on defense out of the corner of your eye, it just allows you to be more aggressive. When you think you're out on an island, you don't go for a kill shot. You don't go for a big hit, something that causes a fumble. You just need to get your balance and make sure you make the tackle. When you can see out of the corner of your eye that is our guy coming also, then you can go, I'm going to rip this guy apart. And you send a message. The guy doesn't fall forward. He doesn't juke you and drag you for 3 or 4 yards. You might knock a football loose. Too, yeah. It just makes a complete difference when you know that we're on the attack. And that's something that the Chiefs adjusted about midway through the year, maybe a third of the way into the year. They started getting more aggressive and a little bit over-aggressive in a sense. We talked about that, how the first Denver game, I thought that they could have been in a position to have to pay for it, but they didn't pay, and it's a great compliment that the secondary is holding up so well that it really isn't overextending yourself. You didn't say that the Chicago Bears overextended themselves with all those guys up at the line because the corners didn't get beat. That's part of football. When your corners are good enough to hold up man-to-man, you have the right to bring guys up. I thought the Chiefs were doing it just to say we're not going to let people run the ball on us down after down and make it that simple. Great strategy. We may give some things back there up, but let's make them make those plays. And guess what? They haven't done it. And now the Chiefs have advanced past that. So I think that some of the defensive schemes that they're using are keeping the offense off balance. There's just no doubt about it. They're coming from everywhere. It's really a nice rhythm, and they're playing to a high level. So they are more ready to play the best teams than they've been. Now, sometimes, just like a mathematical equation that gets really intense, you start getting down to the lowest common denominator. That's what a mathematician would say. I think I can simplify this down. That still may be, can you stop the run when you know it's coming? But who's going to bring that running game?
Right.
That's the question. The Ravens, possibly. But then the Chiefs are going to bring so many people up that the Ravens are going to have to throw and beat them over the top. And even though Lamar Jackson's been lighting it up, one thing goes well, then 2, then 3, then 4. That's kind of that offense. But what happens if you take away number 1 and you make him throw? And then the throws are just 2-yard routes out in the flat and you run and tackle him. I mean, the Ravens are not flawless. This is not Tom Brady's undefeated New England Patriots where you just go, they are going to cut us apart. I mean, wherever the gap is from 50 yards down the field, Brady is going to hit it, get the guys there. Remember, the Ravens can't do that. They're kind of all or nothing. The reason I'm talking about this is because I started, I believe, planting the seed with you on this podcast, Danny, a long time ago. After the Chiefs beat the Ravens head-to-head, I was speaking highly of the Ravens, and I was building them up. Well, now everyone's built them up too far. Now
right.
They put them on the pedestal as the number 1 seed, and this offense is going to change the world. Well, we've been through this. We didn't buy into it. When Kaepernick had a good year, when RG3 had a good year for the Redskins, we didn't sign off that, this is an easy Super Bowl run for them. No. The Ravens are now like that. Very well coached, good on defense, and have a formula that works well if they get the lead to cause some havoc in that running game, and Lamar Jackson's a better passer. All those things are true. But let's yank them off the pedestal. They are eminently beatable for the Chiefs. It's a fairly even game with them. And that's where we got to look at this. Chiefs have a chance to get back into the Super Bowl. The Chiefs have a chance to be the number 2 seed. And I think the number 2 seed and the bye are very valuable because you don't want to have to play 3 games to get to the Super Bowl. The math of that is not as good as 2. And you don't want to have to play both those games on the road, the last 2 games, because then you've got to go to Baltimore probably and maybe to New England to get out of here. And even though you want to disrespect New England, be careful about that on any one given playoff Sunday.
Especially
that
in their
Belichick
place.
may be able to pull something out. So the good news is I think the Chiefs are a much bigger factor when you look at their play and others in the NFL. I think it's going to be an unbelievably good race. As a general NFL fan, this is exciting to see who's going to win the Super Bowl. It really is, because I don't think the Patriots have the mojo just to say we're gonna Brady and Belichick you and go win a Super Bowl. I think that they're going to have to really play well. It's unlikely they're going to be able to do that, and that means you ask the question, who's next up? And there is no obvious answer. There are 4 or 5 teams in the NFC that deserve, when they get playing at their best, to be a Super Bowl winner. 4 or 5 teams, but none of them are flawless. They're just good. And then you look in the AFC, and we're building up. We're seeing a little bit more excellence as the season unfolds. But there is no reason why the Ravens, the Chiefs, and the Patriots can't go represent themselves and win a Super Bowl. But
so you're still including the Patriots in there as much as they, week after week now, struggle on offense.
Yes, I don't. They looked awful against Cincinnati. The Chiefs may have broken them, but I think playoff pressure is different. And if they get a chance to play at home for that first game,
which is pretty likely. I mean, the eggs are in the
well, they
basket
got to beat
of
Buffalo. They got to beat Buffalo.
It's Buffalo.
Buffalo's better than them, but it's hard to beat someone when you're not used to beating them on the road in New England. The last time New England lost to the Chiefs two seasons ago.
You literally think Buffalo is a better football team than New England?
Right now, yes.
Yeah.
I think Buffalo's found themselves, that national opportunity on Thanksgiving Day brought them to being legitimate NFL front page people. Then they did it on a Sunday night on the road against Pittsburgh. It takes a little bit to take that step from being a good team and fighting. Like the Cleveland Browns were a good team that was fighting last year, right?
Right.
But they couldn't make the step. They've just folded under the pressure of, you're a national team now. Buffalo was not a national team. Most people had no idea who their players were at all. Allen, the quarterback, the coach, anything, until they played on Thanksgiving Day and put on a show. But it just verified how good they played all year. This is the NFL. If you have a good record, you're a good team. But then they were put under supreme pressure on Sunday night in Pittsburgh. On Sunday Night Football, you don't go in and beat the Steelers very often, and things didn't go perfectly. They had to fight all day long, and guess what? They come out with the win. So it's a very intriguing game when you got, the old known Patriots, not as good as Buffalo, but at home. I look at it as a dead even game, a toss-up game. I think New England needs to win that game to be a Super Bowl participant, but if they win, that's like winning a playoff game. Okay, that advances them to the next round. And then here's the formula for New England. Find a way to win a home playoff game that first game, no matter who it is. And they've played some good teams at home and not dominated, just won by 10, won by 3, won by 7. And because we all wrote it off like, oh, we know New England's going to win, you may not have paid a lot of attention to it, but they struggled in that first game. Then they're one game from the Super Bowl. When you get to the AFC Championship game, the pressure ratchets up, and they stay calm. So there you go. I mean, that is the next advantage. If they have to go on the road to Baltimore, if they have to play the Chiefs at that point, I mean, depending on how it all plays out, likely the Chiefs would be coming to play New England first. And if they found a way to eke it out, then they have to go to Baltimore and think, oh, well, now they're on the road. But suddenly, just like the Chiefs last year, Baltimore's the better team, but are they actually going to win that one game? So, yeah, I include New England with probably lower likelihood of all the teams that I mentioned. But their strength and coachability and play under pressure is so much better than everybody else. Who else do you put in their category? New Orleans, maybe? Drew Brees and Peyton? They probably are the next most likely to say, I got this. But are you ready to bet on the Minnesota Vikings being able to just handle as good? The Packers. I mean, really, a brand-new coach and Aaron Rodgers and a couple of guys who can rush the passer. I mean, they don't seem dominant to me. Oh, the 49ers. Guess what, Danny? They are new to the game.
Right.
And they even spit the bit a little bit, last on Sunday. They lost a game they couldn't lose. Seattle, man, they know how to win, but it isn't easy for them. And Josh Gordon just got suspended by the NFL on Monday. Suspended. Out. Right. Gone. So they lost one of the receivers. And Seattle's not a flawless team. So any of those teams, and I would even throw Dallas may lose to Philadelphia, so don't get me wrong. Hey, Dallas could easily lose to Philadelphia. But if the Cowboys win and they go into playoffs, Danny, the Cowboys' best play is at a level that can compete against any of these teams. So there's another team that's unlikely to make it all the way to the Super Bowl, but can play to a high level. So I just think
and beat somebody.
Oh, definitely can beat somebody. So I think we got as compelling of race to the Super Bowl with multiple teams that I can remember. Now, what I said the last couple years, I think 2 years, maybe 3, Danny, I thought the competition level for the top teams was low. I don't think the top teams are very good. Okay, I thought the Chiefs' defense stunk last year. And given a normal Super Bowl period of time, they would have got beaten.
Right.
New England did it, but they were not over a 10-year period, last year's Chiefs were not one of the great teams.
Right.
That missed a Super Bowl. It's just that the Rams were not very good. Their run defense stunk. The quarterback was so predictable. I told you before the game, I know exactly where he's going to be. The Patriots just ran right back there to him, stuffed him. And then the Patriots, as we know, were running on fumes and could barely move the ball against the Rams. That Rams team was not very good. That Patriots team was not very good. The Chiefs team was better than both of them, but unfortunately not ready to get over the hump, didn't get, D Ford's offsides, whatever. But the Chiefs were not a great team. There were no great teams last year.
Okay.
The Chargers weren't great. I mean, there was no one great. This year, I think we've got 4 to 7 teams that are playing at a higher level than any team did last year.
Okay.
If that makes sense. It's going to take more to win the Super Bowl this year. And so that's why I was screaming from the radio rooftops, you got to win the Super Bowl when you get a chance.
Right.
Remember last year?
Yeah.
Chiefs, I mean, it's exciting. Patrick Mahomes, but you better take advantage. You better go win your Super Bowl.
Because there's more good competition this year.
This is not a normal year of competition, and you just cannot miss your opportunities. I think the Chiefs do not have to have that pressure this year. They are not dominant enough to just say it's a failure if they lose. I know that's how we started the year, and it was the only thing to say in Kansas City. But right. I think we all got a new idea somewhere here in the midseason. If you take the average of all the media, us and everybody else, I don't think everybody now just says you have to win the Super Bowl or Andy Reid, we're going to be criticizing you in February. I really don't think that's in play now, and I think that's a good place for the Chiefs to be. So if you've dipped on your Chiefs attitude of where they're going to be, I say get your roller coaster and get headed right back up toward the top, because I don't see the Chiefs having to play second fiddle to any team in the NFL, because the Ravens were better for about 3 or 4 weeks and are probably better than the Chiefs and are going to play at home. But when you tell someone's better and they have to win and they're the favorites, that is not an easy position. Here, let me give you the hot potato of pressure. How about the Chiefs attacking the Ravens like the Patriots attacked the Chiefs?
Right.
The celebration, and everyone in Baltimore's like, we're going to go to the Super Bowl. All we got to do is win this Sunday. We can do it. I know Lamar is so much better than he was when we played him in Kansas City, so we'll get him. That kind of pressure could swing this kind of thing. So I'm really high on the Chiefs as a group that can win the AFC. It won't be easy, but they're right in the mix.
I'll ask the easiest question of all, and it'll take about 10 seconds to answer, I think. Right now, the Chiefs would play the Steelers. It'd be a calamity if they lost that game, wouldn't it?
It would be. I mean, other than the insignia on the helmet, the Steelers are the Steelers, at least by the helmet and the coach.
Right.
But Roethlisberger's not there.
Right.
Antonio Brown's not there. Those are the guys. Le'Veon Bell a little bit as well. But if the superstars walked in, I said this last year, without a doubt, at this point in the season, I hope that the Steelers aren't the team that comes to Kansas City. They are who I do not want to play. Because I thought last year that they would have been a hard out. Because those superstars would have stepped up on that day and played at a higher level. Pittsburgh was not that great last year, but those superstars had a whole different gear, or 2 or 3 more gears that could have beat the Chiefs, right? And they didn't have Le'Veon Bell, but still, they had Roethlisberger, Tomlin, remember, quarterback and coach, and then Antonio Brown. I know he's a joke, but I'm telling you, he was the most dominant, scary receiver in the whole NFL, in my opinion, last year. Now the Steelers just don't have the juice.
Right.
They just cannot match up. They need the ball bouncing around. Remember how the Titans, when ball bounces off a Chief and comes back and you end up with a touchdown. They need some luck. No, the Steelers would be a great matchup for the Chiefs this year. I would like to play the Steelers as much this year as I didn't last year.
But if the Titans squeezed in, they'd be a tougher go.
Much tougher.
Yeah.
Because Tannehill will fight you.
Right.
And that's what you need in a playoff when you're the underdog, is someone who's not scared to win.
And Derrick Henry has killed him a couple of years
And he's a powerful runner, and they have a formula. They keep saying that their secondary isn't up to par. They've had a lot of injuries. We can talk about that, but the way you beat the Chiefs is you control the football.
Right.
And Tannehill has the guts when it's third. Remember when Harbaugh beat him?
Right.
With the Colts, that's so old. I mean, a lot of people are going, what are you talking about? Schottenheimer days, okay? Harbaugh was a coach. I mean, he was not a coach, he was a player. But if it was 3rd and 6, he'd gain 7. If it was 3rd and 2, they'd gain 3. I mean, just frustrate the heck out of you.
Right.
And I think Tannehill's that type of quarterback. Not someone that scares you, but he scares me because he's going to make winning plays, keep the clock running, keep moving down the field. And everyone in Arrowhead, if that's happening, the nervousness in the fans permeates the arena.
Right.
Like, there's only so many minutes left in the first half, and they're driving the ball, and the game's tied. No crap, Patrick needs to get out there. Let's go, let's go. We want the ball back.
Yeah, absolutely. We got a little bit of college football to talk about next, and a couple of topics on the table. We'll do that with Stan right after this.
More of Danny's Reasonably Irreverent podcast after this.
Sumner One is the company to make your office maximize efficiency. Their family of companies make up one of the largest independent dealers of office technology in the Midwest. They are proud to bring the best service and technology to top companies across the region. Sumner One can help your organization run more smoothly than ever. Sumner One printers, copiers, MFPs, managed print services, document management, infrastructure design, IT services, disaster recovery, and business continuity. Welcome to the one place where everything works. For more information, call Carl Little at 913-752-2256. Looking for a truly unique escape from your normal entertainment or corporate team-building regimen? Stay tuned for an exclusive offer only for Reasonably Irreverent listeners. I'm excited to tell you about an extraordinary destination, the Exit Room, located in the heart of beautiful downtown Lee Summit. The Exit Room is a distinctive entertainment option that offers a cool alternative to the normal couples night out, family get-togethers, and corporate team-building events. The Exit Room is a one-of-a-kind boutique escape room catering to special occasions and corporate team-building events and is unmatched in the Kansas City metro. With 5 individually designed and varied escape room adventures, your party or employees can unplug from their electronic world, interact with one another, match wits, and ultimately escape the humdrum of the ordinary. The Exit Room adventures cross decades and centuries and create fascinating fun. I know the owners well. They are local folks, their staff is warm and friendly, their lobby is inviting and beautiful, and their adventures are award-winning. Check online. There are over 1,000 reviews, and note that they are a rare 5-star ranked business. Visit their website and Facebook page, and any of my listeners who books online at theexitroomkc.com using the promo code ClinkScale19 gets 10% off any ticket purchase. The Exit Room in Lee Summit. Unplug, interact, and escape. Are you thinking of starting a new business? Does your current business feel stuck? Or are you just trying to grow what you already have? Running a business is a lot of work, and it takes the right team to make it all happen. If you're looking to grow your business, call my friends Ben and Greg over at Fuego Consulting. They put together a company that can help you reach your business goals. Whether you're looking to get online, build a social media strategy, or rebrand your business, they can help. Call Fuego at 816-663-9695 or visit them online at fuegoconsulting.com. Fuego Consulting. Let's grow your business together.
There's no need to get a case of the Mondays every week, not during football season anyway. Hey, this is Matt Llewellyn from the 23rd Street Brewery, and we are the place for Monday Night Football. Food and drink specials every week, and all new televisions always at 23rd Street Brewery. The hardest thing about Mondays now will be getting through the workday, although waking up on Tuesdays might be a little bit tough. But remember, watch all the Chiefs games, NFL games, every game at the 23rd Street Brewery.
If you'd like to join these and other great sponsors and market your business to a growing and engaged audience, contact us at Danny@DannyClinkScale.com. Look forward to hearing from you. Stan, we had a little bit of a lull right now in college football. The Bulls haven't started up yet, but we had the Army-Navy football game, and it's a pageant, and it gets a standalone spot, which I think is great. There's been a little bit of controversy off the field regarding the Army-Navy game, but we'll leave that aside and hope that those type of things start to...
You're talking about the hand signals?
Yes.
Okay. Behind Reese Davis on College Game Day.
Yes, and then start to, these people who commit actions like this start to be embarrassed again instead of maybe empowered, but that's my little tiny political statement. My football statement is we watched a football game where the ball was thrown 6 times. Now, it wasn't an entertaining game from the standpoint that one team dominated the other, but can there be an entertaining football game with the ball being thrown 6 times?
Absolutely. On TV. Okay, this is where I'll make a distinction. If you're sitting in the stands and the ball's not thrown, the value or the entertainment value of the play is highly diminished. Because a 4-yard run into the middle of the line from the stands, unless you got 25 vision or something, not 20/20, but 25, that you see the block, you see where usually it's like, okay, and you see him get up and you look for the he gained 4 yards. On TV, it's fine. You can see the blocks. You can see the player. You can see the ball.
You can see that he got 4 instead of 2.
Yeah.
In the stands,
and you can
really
see how he did it. Did he reach out? Did he spin? I don't think on TV. I don't think he missed anything, and that's even before the replay. And obviously, the replay does so much justice to the play. Intricacy in the running game is actually more interesting than the passing game on TV. Think about this for a second. You like seeing your quarterbacks throw and gain yardage, but usually you're rooting for a team. I'm talking about neutral game. If even on my HD TV, I cannot see all 22 guys.
Right.
So as the quarterback drops back, my TV does not stretch. It moves back with the quarterback, and the center of the action is probably the line with the quarterback to the left side of my screen, or they try to center him up. So he throws the ball and you see where it goes. Until you see the replay, you have no idea what all the route combinations were and how it happened. When you see a running play, you see 20 of the 22 players, 18 of the 22 players, and everything they do. The movements, the action, how they got blocked. Now, it might happen too fast for you if you're not used to watching football, but no, I actually think watching running plays is better entertainment on TV than passing plays.
From an intricacy standpoint.
But from the stands, I'm telling you, and I watch a lot of games in the stands, obviously. Heck, I watch in the press box up there, and it's way more intriguing to see the ball fly 15 yards, and then you can see where the defenders are and the receivers and the catch, and it's really fun to watch a passing play in live action. But on TV, you just kind of got to wait while the ball's in the air to see what happened.
Yeah, a lot of times when the ball's released, you don't see who it's being thrown to even.
Right. We all know
a lot of times.
Trajectory, different things like that. But the fact is you don't take in the whole play. And that's why some people are starting to enjoy watching the All-22. But I watch a lot of All-22. That's coach's tape, right? And they set back so you can just strategize. But they're too far back.
Right.
You can see their numbers, yeah. But it's sometimes hard to tell what a football is when it's flying through the air. And you just see way too much.
Right.
It's too far back. So, no, I would rather watch the running game unfold when you're watching a game. As crazy as that sounds.
That's why last year I brought this up and you hadn't seen it, but Fox for a couple of games experimented with having the plays shot from sort of at an angle behind the quarterback, and you were seeing more of the field. I guess they've decided that people didn't like that because I haven't seen it since, but I don't know why, for the life of me, they feel like the camera has to be at the line of scrimmage when that particular view, when the camera was, just to use the television standpoint of it, maybe 10 yards. It was sort of over the quarterback's right shoulder, kind of. So that allowed you to see more of the field. I thought that was really a shot that probably should be the main shot. But apparently America didn't feel that way because they must have gotten feedback because I haven't seen it. I didn't see it this year. And
I've not seen it.
It's gone away.
You could do it, from Danny's description, you could do it from behind the offense, say 10 yards behind the offense, and then angle it over to look back.
Yeah, but you're on the side. Yeah, you're still on the side.
Still on the sideline. Or you're 10 yards into the defense and look back. You get a more global view, but it's not square. It's really not square, and maybe our brains don't work very well because the yard lines and the stripes, we might feel more comfortable. I could see where that would be crazy, but I'll tell you something, Danny. The best coaches in the world go exactly to where you say, either 10 yards one way or 10 yards the other. Many coaches who are play callers.
Right.
For instance, a lot of them who are offensive play callers will go stand on the defensive side. And they don't want to get too far away from the line of scrimmage because they need to see what's happening with the line. It's very important. But it gives them, when they're looking straight ahead, they can see also the linebackers in the action, a little bit of the passing game unfold, and just move their head slightly and get whatever view they want. And then they can see how, if you're running a hitch route, they can really tell exactly how the cornerback took his steps and where he might get a sluggo, where you slant and go, and those kind of things. So there's a lot of coaches who do not like standing right at the line of scrimmage.
Right. That
they'll take the angle that you're talking about, one way or the other. So I could watch a few plays like that. I've not seen what you said. I do not like the video game view from behind the quarterback hanging with that little camera.
No.
Because while that camera does so many things, I mean, the XFL started the whole thing, and the NFL has really done a good job. For replay purposes, bring it all day long. You know, those producers make great choices with the 5 to 20 choices they have, depending on what game it is. They do a nice job of showing replays, but just show it to me when it's relevant from a replay, because I find this shouldn't be accurate, but I don't. It's a little shaky or something. The HD does not seem to be as good coming from it. That the guys don't seem the same size. They seem a little bit smaller, and maybe that's because someone's literally driving it around. It doesn't just sit still.
It also may not be as really good a camera.
How can it be as good a camera?
Right.
I mean, it's just doesn't look as significant as the others. Anyway, when in the huddle, when they break the huddle, it's okay to show some of the things. It's cool to say, here's what the quarterback saw. Lie. It's not what the quarterback saw. If you were a 15-foot quarterback, you would be a lot better than this 6'5" guy. Okay, Danny? You don't. Let me tell you something. You don't see over the lineman.
Right.
As crazy as it seems, you do not see over the lineman. When you're back there, the gaps, when the rushers split and you can see the field, thank you. But when they come rushing straight at you, and you think about a Chris Jones, what makes him so good? He is pushing straight forward. That means the guys that are blocking on your team on him are pushing straight backwards toward you, and all you see is a wall of 6'5", 6'7" guys blocking your view of everything that's going back there. And a lot of it's instincts. Like, I think I saw that linebacker. Okay, I know it was cover 2, and I confirmed that the safety stayed over in cover 2, and I think I saw the linebacker move this way. So if I can somehow glance and find that safety on the other side, I'm going to zip the ball over the middle. That's the kind of calculate. They don't see it.
Right.
And that's why that camera of 15 feet in the air goes, oh, there he is, right there. Throw it to Travis Kelce.
Right. Yeah, absolutely.
It's not that easy.
No, not that easy. Urban Meyer was at the Redskins game yesterday. He's a college coach. The Cowboys are supposedly considering him as well. It just raises the question. It has been very, very rare that college coaches, without any prior pro experience, have succeeded. Even the greatest ones. Nick Saban, total failure, although he didn't really give himself that much time.
Steve Spurrier,
disaster. I mean, it's happened time after time after time. There have just been a few exceptions. Just in general, why do you think that is? And then talk about Urban Meyer.
Well, the difference between an NFL coach and college for these elite coaches is, first of all, that they get to recruit their players and they got all kind of cachet. So they just think they're working hard. They just think they're working hard. But the fact is, when you walk in and your coat says Ohio State on it and you're on TV all the time, they're more likely to go to your school. So you win the recruiting battles, so you got a big advantage. I mean, you look at the Big 10, 14 teams. When Ohio State walks out on his roster, do you think it's equivalent to everybody else? No. But Urban Meyer, I mean, he's a hardworking guy. He doesn't take anything for granted. He could be coaching at KU, and he would act exactly the same. He doesn't even understand, well, our roster's way better than there's like 3 or 4 teams in the league that have our roster, 3 or 4 teams that will be a challenge for us, and half the league that there's almost no way we can lose to. In the NFL, no way. All the teams are reasonably equal if you do a good job, and you're usually going to a team that's struggling, so you're on the bottom half of the league, and you got to find your way up. I think that's one thing. As a college coach, you are such a boss. I think you and I brought this up, that you don't have to worry about your boss, the AD. It doesn't matter. I mean, you try to act cool and not disrespect your AD, but you don't care about your AD.
Right.
You're the boss, man. When you're a head football coach, you control everything.
Yep.
And in the NFL, you just don't do that. The league has rules.
Right.
They tell you you're going to do this or that. They tell you you're going to disclose on injuries. They tell you there's a union of players who tell you, we're not practicing an extra half hour, and I don't care what you want me to sign. We're not doing it. So you're held so accountable to be very fair. Then there's usually a general manager that's going to decide on the talent for you, and you can't stock up and build your team. So if you think you're a builder of talent, let's look at a Bill Snyder and the success he has. It's the development of talent that makes him so great. You don't have time in the NFL to develop talent. Right. You only get 53 guys. If you want a new guy, hey, can I have a new guy? Yes, but we got to cut one of the other ones.
Right.
You can't stockpile. So there's just a whole different skill set needed in the NFL. Now, a lot of people would talk about the egos and that these guys are making more money than you. You know that whole thing. That's
right.
True in the NBA, I believe. And it probably was true 30, 40 years ago that the college guys would just say, yes, sir, yes, sir, yes, sir, and you'd say, do another 10 push-ups because I didn't like how you said yes, sir, and they would do it. But that's over, Danny. We're not
right.
With social media and the way kids are, the college players have rights. Not so much day-to-day that you can see, but all they got to do is go post something, and their the rights shoot up. So the coaches treat everyone like grown-ups. So these guys already got that prima donna factor. If you're at Ohio State, all those things. I don't think that's an issue anymore.
Right.
But I think it's and then you're going against the best strategists in the world.
Right.
I mean, you think you can draw up some pretty cool stuff, and all of a sudden your players aren't better than them, but how cool are you going to draw up against these guys?
Right.
They're unbelievable coaches when you talk about the offensive and defensive coordinators and head coaches. And so it probably, we talked about what the guys who couldn't get it done. It's pretty amazing that Jimmy Johnson did.
Right.
Jimmy Johnson is the example everyone wants to use. Like, look what he did. Another guy that was fairly successful, just because I heard his name recently, is Don Coryell. Now, that's old school.
Right.
But Don Coryell, I guess, I didn't really realize this was a dominating college coach for a while. Maybe at San Diego State.
San Diego State, yeah.
I didn't realize he was. This is something I just learned, that Coryell was a dominating coach, because I think of him as just as an NFL guy.
Right.
So the fact is he was a very good college coach. But Jimmy Johnson sets the tone. The Steve Spurriers and the Sabans of the world give us hint that in modern times, it isn't easy to step up and even succeed at a decent level, because those guys were not average. Their teams were slightly below average when they were there.
Absolutely. It's always a pleasure talking football with Stan Weber. We'll start to really get into, we're headed for the postseason in the NFL. We're headed to the playoffs in college football. Lots of good stuff. And the Kansas City Chiefs have the fans primed once again.
This podcast was made possible by our great sponsors like Easton Roofing, the presenting sponsor of Kansas City Profiles at the Danny Klingscale Reasonably Irreverent podcast. Easton Roofing, where integrity matters. We hope you enjoyed the latest Danny Klingscale Reasonably Irreverent podcast. Come back soon for something fresh and new.